Welcome back to the Leicester City Women's Wrap-Up Show. We have a super special episode today. I'm super excited about this one. As usual, I'm joined by James. How are you today, James?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm pretty good. I'm waking up. I'm chilly, but I'm good. We have a super special guest. We've got Ashleigh Plumptre with us. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you guys?
Pretty good, thank you. It's so awesome to finally get you on. I know we've been working real hard, so it's really nice to see you here.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be on.
Awesome. So you're having an amazing season so far. Can you just kind of tell us a bit about that? Like as a player from your perspective, how has it been?
Yeah, it's been really good. I was only reflecting on it the other day because now we're kind of coming towards the tail end of the season. And we often in our meetings kind of reflect on where we've started and now where we're at. And it's been quite a crazy season because sometimes it feels really long. Like I think with a pandemic as well, it feels like it's kind of, we've had to go through so many different steps to get to where we are now. But then we're also like, do you know what? We were, the start of the season, we were at a different training ground. We've switched training grounds like twice already. And if we reflect on it from that point of view, it's okay, wow, it's gone really fast and we're going to be done in like 2 months. Well, a month actually. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but to think we're like at the closing stages and now just working towards that promotion spot, it's really just setting in that, this is it. This is what we've been working for. That first session when we started in pre-season, we set out our goals. It's kind of coming, hopefully, to fruition now.
Yeah, I was looking over because I had written out some questions from when I was supposed to chat with you in February, and I was like, man, I have so many questions about games being postponed, but now we're talking to her right before when we could be like winning the league. So it's just flown by, and that's crazy. So just kind of looking back at your career, you spent some time at the University of Southern California. I'm guessing that was super nice, super warm. Did you spend any time at Disney?
Do you know what? That was on my list to go because I feel like because it was so close, I had to be able to go. So I went. I think I've been twice because there was a point when my stepmom and my sister visited me out there in summer, and obviously my sister's 10, so I was like, okay, I have to take her to Disneyland. She's not going to come all the way out here and see me, and then that's probably more of a reason why she wanted to go to California, not to see me, but but yeah, I lived out there. I'd probably say that was the most influential time in my football career. I think it was kind of the first moment where I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. As soon as I graduate, I do want to play football because initially when I moved out there, I wanted to get a good education too. That's the whole reason I went, but then still be able to develop on the football side of things because I was at Notts County who were in the WSL before they folded. So I was playing around good players when I was about 16, 17 when I was there. And I still wanted to, surround myself with really good players, but at the same time I was at the pinnacle of, A levels and stuff like that. And I wanted to make sure that I could still, after football, I'll have something under my belt. So yeah, I went out there and yeah, like I was more focused on, more like school stuff, like education. My goal was when I first went out there was to graduate and then hopefully like go into medicine. And I never really like wanted to go into professional football actually when I went out there. That wasn't really my aim. And then it was only my last year when I was there, probably a bit of my junior year, which is the third year, because I guess some people aren't familiar with how it works out in America. But yeah, my junior year is my third year there. I was like, okay, I felt like really confident in my play. I was enjoying it more than I ever have. And I was like, you know what, if I have the opportunity to go pro, then why would I waste the opportunity? Because I would regret it down the line if I didn't take it up. And I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he was like, if you come back, well, first he was like, would you want to stay out there, like go NWSL route or come home? And at that point I was really enjoying my life out in America, but then I have a family back here and I have younger siblings who I've kind of missed out on them growing up because they're so young. So I was like, okay, I would love to come back. And he was like, well, if there's anywhere you want to go, where do you want to go? And I said, well, I would love to be at Leicester. It's my hometown club. I knew they had ambitions to go as far as they can. Like now we have in our head, obviously, promotion. We have after that doing well in the WSL, making sure we stay in and around like good teams within the WSL. That will be our ambitions next year. And I'm like, it will be perfect for me. That would be like a really good, I guess, base for me in terms of like coming home. And USC kind of provided me with everything I needed to be able to come back and kind of be where I'm at now. It's honestly, I think it's worked out perfectly for me. I've had a really nice route into professional football, and I would put USC down to that.
You definitely did the usual university student thing where you go in with the plan and then you're like switching it throughout, and then you come out with a completely different plan. But that's awesome because it's clearly worked out. So congratulations. That's so great to hear.
Thanks.
Having played in both the US and the UK, what kind of differences are there between both countries playing wise, and how easy was the transition, obviously, to go over to America and then come back?
That's a good question, because I actually found it really hard. I was probably a little bit ignorant at the time when I was going out to America, because I was like, it can't be that different. They speak the same language as me. They're not that dissimilar. But really, I went out there and it was a real big culture shock, actually. So the education system's completely different. Like, I studied like science subjects at A levels because I hated writing. I really hated it. So I'd love doing exams. I can study for exams any day, but having to write an essay, I tried to avoid that the whole of high school. And then I went out to America, and I'm like, my first class is about gangs in LA. It's like a general education class, and it's like, yeah, you have to write a 10-page essay. And I'm like, oh, what? I didn't even know what a thesis was. I didn't even know what that was, and I was like 17. So I had that mixed with pre-season in America, which started at like 5 a.m. It's like, wake up, have breakfast, fitness test, train, try and nap if you can, shower, go back to training again. And it was just like, boom, like you're straight out there, you're thrown into it straight away. In terms of the actual like playing, everybody out there was very fit. Like, everybody's probably built on the foundation of being an athlete first. So there was a lot of focus on being strong, being fast, just being an all-round athlete. But I think a lot of people have this perception that in America it is just like getting an athlete and then teaching them how to play football, where it's actually really not like that. Well, the university I went to wasn't like that. Like, my coaches were very big on technical detail, more so than what I'd ever received playing in England. So I went out there as a winger, and I've come back as a centre back, and now I can never imagine having to play on the front line again. I'm definitely like defensive minded now, but my coaches out there were so specific with technical detail, and I think that's where I kind of honed in on my defensive skills, because people really do say that defending is an art, and it very much so is, based upon like how I was coached in America. But then the transition back to England, I was like, okay, I'm just coming home. But that was also probably even harder than when I went out there, because I'd say out here, there's probably more technical, like being at Leicester anyway, I've been playing around more technical players. In terms of like tactical knowledge, I think it's a little bit different. But I struggled when I first came back with, like, I almost felt like, I'm going to be honest, people could kind of get away with not having to like go 100% like we did in America, because they could make up for it for their technical ability. So because they'd lose the ball less, they'd have to recover less. Do you know what I mean? Like, little things like that I picked up on, and it was it was quite hard for me, actually. I actually think when I first got here, I'm like, I was stressing, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm as fit as normal because I don't have to run as much. But loads of little things added up. But it's been really good for me in terms of being like a learning curve, learning different cultures and learning how the sport is played in different countries. I guess you can kind of see that with like some Americans that have come over here and played in the WSL. Some of them are thriving, but some of them are struggling a little bit. And that's just happens because in different countries you have different styles of play.
That's brilliant. Sorry, Hannah, I was just going to say that your positioning is phenomenal. You read the game so well. And I presume that's part of the technical side that you learned in America, but also, like you say, being a defender, it is an art form, because you need to know where to position yourself. And your positioning this season has been incredible at times.
Thanks. I just put it down to my long legs. I just managed to get there.
And I was going to say, because against Coventry, you were in the midfield. You're amazing. You got my player of the match on the show, so you did a good job.
Thanks. That's only because I said to Remy, I'm like, just talk to me the whole. So she was on the sideline the whole way through, and throughout the game she was talking to me, and I was just like had a listening ear for her all the time because Remy can do everything. She's phenomenal. I look up to her a lot, and at half time, because in the first half I felt like I was running a lot, and I knew I was going to do that because I always think, you know what, positionally, if I'm in the wrong place, at least I can do it. The least I can do is run. And then at half time she came to me with a tactics board and was like, do you know what, if you position yourself here and here, you allow this person to go on it, and which means you're also being in a position to get on the second ball, stuff like that, where she's very good at reading the game. And I felt second half, I was like, okay, I feel way less tired. My legs feel okay now because little things like that, like little nuances of the game. I think that's what comes with, you know, with her experience. I was able to take that on, and I did enjoy it. You definitely get more free range in the midfield, but looking forward to having her back hopefully this weekend.
That answers my next question. I was going to say, would you see yourself playing there more? Would you want to? But I don't think you would.
I think it's just because I'm so I've just played on the back line for a while now. Going into midfield, I like in training when we do like small-sided games, I'll kind of go row sometimes, and I'll just like step out with the ball and try and score or whatever because I get so competitive in small-sided games. But I always think, you know what, if we have players that can do the job better than what I can do, then you know what, they go in, especially like the likes of Remy. I remember I think Leicester put a picture up of me after the game, and I don't know if you saw it, but I kind of just put like, when Jonathan says you've got to step in for Remy, and that was literally the face I made in that picture. Was literally the face I made when I knew I was in the midfield. I was like, right, okay, I'd like mentally prepare for it.
I thought you were going to talk about the picture of you two standing next to each other because the difference in height.
Yeah, Ram always says, like, when we walk out before a game, she's always like, Ash, don't stand next to me, because if I stand next to her, it's just like giant and little person.
Then the club shrunk you.
Yeah, I know. I felt, the little, was it the mini Plumptre or whatever? Somebody else did that the other day. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, it was me.
Oh yeah. And I was sad because I'm like, you've shrunk my whole body, which makes it a lot better than just my body and not my head.
Yeah, and they kept the feet big too, I think.
Yeah, my feet are huge, so you can't really shrink them even if you tried.
At least you got the long legs. My feet are long, but my legs are not. So what is it like being at Beaver Drive? Because you're there right now. So obviously getting that training facility is just massive, like for women's football in general. And I always say, like, to guests on this show, like what Leicester City are doing is such a great example of what investment and support does in women's football. So what's it like been there? And do you have a cubby?
Yeah. Oh gosh, don't start me on my cubby hole.
That's why I started you.
So because of COVID, we have to switch changing rooms a lot. So changing room 3 is the bigger one. So I started in there, and we kind of keep the same people in each one, but it's just so that everybody gets a turn in the bigger changing room. But when I knew that we were going to have our own little locker, I went out with Holly and we went shopping, and I was like, Holly, I need this, this, and this, because I'm like, I even made it because she got here before we did. And I FaceTimed her. I'm like, can you measure the size? This sounds really deep. But like, can you measure the size of each cubby and underneath so I can get the right size boxes to contain all my stuff? Because I already knew that I was going to be here a lot. So even after training, I'll sometimes be here until the evening because I'll just be, I don't know, doing recovery or chatting to people. I just find it hard to leave sometimes. So yeah, my cubby hole at the minute, I've had to move changing rooms. So luckily, Sophie Harris is now in my spot, and she was like, Ash, do you know what? You have that much stuff. Just keep some of it here. And I just kind of like go back and forth every so often to get But yeah, that kind of sums up actually Beaver Drive. We just have so much I don't know, so much stuff open to us that we just don't really have to like think about, you know, what do we need to bring, or like even the fact like Harry, our kit man, he brings our shin pads, our boots and stuff to games. So I'm just bringing like my hairspray, my pre-wrap, things like that, because I don't really need a lot to bring from home. This is like my second home now. We have everything. We have the gym, we even have like the plunge baths are now open. So it's just because we used to before we used to just go in like actual baths, like ice baths, but now we have like, they're kind of like dunk tanks kind of thing, and you just kind of sit in them, like things like that. I just think that there's always like little 1% you can gain, and we definitely get that compared to other teams in the league. And I think at the minute we're really making the most of it, and I'm hoping all those little 1% are adding up when we are playing. You know what I mean? We might be able to run longer than what we usually do, cramp at a later date than what we usually would. Like when I was in midfield, I said to Hannah at halftime, I'm like, Hannah, at some point my calves are going to go. My calves are going to go. She's like, no, they're not. And luckily they didn't, because I think that's just because Remy was like, just run less. Yeah, I honestly, like, I'm in here now. I'm going to turn this around. So this is kind of where this is one of the places where we have our food. But now we've got a little pool table here. It's like that are great. And we now have a Techball table. So people are getting early before training and prehab, and people are playing. That gets more competitive than actually on the pitch, these Techball tournaments. Yeah, so it's just like a home away from home. It's brilliant.
Is there anyone that like runs the pool table right now? Like the champion that no one wants to face?
You know what? We haven't been able to play yet because we've got balls, but we don't have cues. So, but we haven't played it yet. But in terms of Techball, I kind of stay away from Techball. I'm more of like, I watch and encourage rather than get involved, because I don't know. Well, one time I have like some dodgy knees, and sometimes like I'll get that competitive that I'll just like step and then I'll twinge my knee. I'm like, okay, I can't afford to like twinge my knee in Techball when I've got a game in the weekend. But the likes of Esme and Millie, I think they're the champions at the minute, and they're quite good. Well, Esme especially, she'd probably fold herself in half and be fine. I am not flexible at all. She's like on the table. I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely can't do that. Even with long legs, I can't do that. So millionaires are, I think, current Techball champions. But then Liv and Shannon are a close second, and I love watching Shannon because she gets so angry. Like if she loses a point, she'll just grab the ball and like kick it. So I kind of just watch Shannon, really.
We're gonna be bringing all of this up if we ever get to talk to them.
I've really rat them out there.
That's brilliant. So pre-match, do you have any like superstitions or rituals? And also before games, what kind of music's on in the dressing rooms?
Oh, good question. So I'm not really a superstitious person, but now I'm going to sound like I am because I do a few things, but I don't like to think I'm a superstitious person. So I have these shin pads that have like my siblings' names on them. So I always like run my thumbs across their names before I put them in. And then in warm-up, we always do like two or three like width runs of the pitch with Aiden. And me and Esme always stand on the ends of the line of us running. And every time we touch the sideline, we have to point at one another to make sure that we're touching the white line. Weird, I know, but we have to do it before every game. Other than that, I don't think, and I also have to get there earlier than most people. Like I can't get there when we're meant to. I have to be there early and already be changed even before everybody gets there. Other than that, I don't think there is anything. In terms of music, I try and get on it when I can, but sometimes I'm a bit hit and miss, because if I can choose any music to go on, it would be music that people like the majority probably wouldn't like. And then when I do try and like, I stress out because I'm like, oh, I just hope people like the song. Whereas people like Paige and Lashante, they'll just put music on and everybody kind of likes it and they're just quite chill with it, or I'm not as confident as them. But at the minute, I've got people going, I think it was before the Crystal Palace game. So this is a bit of a weird secret, but I've been really obsessed with RuPaul's Drag Race. So
yes.
Yeah. So I haven't watched the American one, but I've watched the UK one. And I think getting our like Canadian Sphinx, and her name's Priscilla, which is such a diva name. I'm like, I've got Priscilla and I'm also watching RuPaul. So I love songs from RuPaul. So CoverGirl at the minute, I've played it actually on the pitch before training once, and people are starting to get into it. Like even people who get annoyed, they're like even like dancing along. And I'm really like sharing secrets here, but Joe, our doctor, said that because I was playing it a lot before the Crystal Palace game, and I set out all the yoga mats so that when people came in, they had to do like a catwalk to the song when they came in. And I played it that much that Joe, our doctor, said he had it in his head on the way home from the game. We went to Crystal Palace, and he played it in the car as he was going home. So like people, and I also think, another little secret, that Emil, I think he secretly likes the song, because every time I did the little catwalk thing and he was like laughing away, and now he does this thing because he makes fun of me because he thinks like in America, because obviously in America at my university, fight on is this. So he was always like, when I'm playing my cover girl, he always go like this. And I've said if we win the league that he has to perform a catwalk like runway thing to Cover Girl, which is the song on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Now I have 2 questions.
No, everyone's gonna hate me, but
first of all, who are you rooting for this season of Drag Race UK?
Well, it's just ended, hasn't it? Yes. Okay, so I wanted Lawrence Chaney to win.
Okay.
I really like Lawrence Chaney. I know everybody was like, "Oh, I want Bimini to win," and I understand why Bimini should have won because Bimini was great, but I just think Lawrence Chaney was hilarious, and he kind of reminds me of like when we could go, me and my family would always go to the pantomime on Boxing Day, so at Christmas time, and he kind of reminds me of like, you know, there's always that one, I think it's Widow Twanky, I think it's always called, but the one that's quite, who looks like Lawrence Chaney at the pantomime. He reminds me of the pantomime, so I was like, okay, I really want Lawrence to win. Sorry, James, I don't know if you're a big fan of RuPaul, but now you're going to have to watch it.
Yeah, it's always.
We had Owen on, we were watching Bigfoot, so.
In all fairness, Drag Race is always on in this house, so I do watch a glimpse of it now and again.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll expose myself since you just exposed yourself. We'll like kind of balance it out. I have Sissy That Walk in almost all of my playlists.
Oh, yay! Yes,
because that's like my hype song.
Yeah, Millie's really good. Millie Farrow is so good at performing anyway, but especially to anything RuPaul related, she's brilliant.
That's awesome. I love that. Now I'm like, oh, perfect. Who doesn't love Drag Race? Awesome. James, I couldn't tell if you were
I was just thinking about music wise, and we've asked a lot of our guests this, so I thought, yeah, why not? Playlists. What 3 songs will we likely to hear on one of your playlists?
Oh, what playlist? Honestly, I'm a woman of every genre pretty much. So I was brought up on 90s R&B soul, and now my sister, so she's a drummer, and she plays progressive rock. So it really ranges from, there's a lot. But my favorite artist ever is Alicia Keys. I think she's so underrated because I think she's brilliant. Is this more like pre-game, or is this just in general? Like
in general.
Just in general.
Oh, 3 songs. So it would have to be any Alicia Keys song. I think my favorite Alicia Keys song since I was a kid is Unthinkable, which is really slow, which sounds quite boring. I'm also a big fan of like, I don't know if you know Anderson .Paak. Anderson .Paak is quite energetic, so this kind of describes my like personality. I'm either like an Anderson .Paak or Alicia Keys. So an Anderson .Paak song, I would say, Put Me Through, and a third one. At the minute I'm listening to a lot of Lauryn Hill, so I've always been a big fan of her, but I also like the fact that she has a lot of live stuff where she goes her lyrics are really deep, and I find them so fascinating to listen to. So I said I had an interview with Ian Stringer, and To Zion was my song on there when he asked me the same question, so I'll keep that one as well. I'm trying to think and I'm also a big fan of musicals, so Hamilton was I know pretty much every Hamilton song. So any kind of Hamilton song, I've gone to 4, and you asked for 3, so I'll stop.
You are good. You can keep going on. I have to confirm though, was it on that Radio Leicester show, was it you or Remy that said they loved Coldplay?
Me. Oh,
okay, thank you. Because our last episode when we talked to Owen, I was like, I like Coldplay. And then I got like beaten for liking Coldplay by him and James.
Yeah. Hannah mentioned Coldplay, and it was, what was it? It was like 2 minutes of Owen rinsing Hannah on why Coldplay was so bad.
Really?
I love Coldplay.
The thing is, I do love Coldplay. I do, but I am like at heart. If I could pick my favorite genre, it is like old school R&B, soul, or hip hop. And I don't know. I think because the questions Ian asked me were so on the spot, like I was just like Coldplay, because I just thought that, like, obviously I would love to go to one of their concerts because I always see videos of them with like it's very colourful, and I love that. Like it just looks like a lot of fun. But yeah, I got a lot of stick for that as well. Like I went home and I told my dad, and he was like, Coldplay, you never played Coldplay. I'm like, I know, but I freaked out.
That's fine. I think I exposed myself way worse because right after he's like, well, Canada doesn't have any big artists. And then he found a list and he's like, oh, Justin Bieber. And I was like, yeah, I love Justin Bieber. And then him and James again were like, Coldplay and Justin Bieber, like, are you okay?
Oh, God.
So I've just been getting messages and stuff nonstop ever since.
I guess
so we're even.
So.
Favorite Coldplay song?
Everglow.
Good song.
You?
I think that's the one that makes me cry, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sad. I'm like giving all like really slow songs, but I'm just a person on lyrics. It's probably more so than the actual song. So
I mean, that's fair. I listen for the instrumentals because I'm a drummer too, so it's cool that your sister is. Yeah. That's what I listen for, is that type of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Not many female drummers, so it's exciting when I hear about them.
No, I've been through it. So it's nice to see the younger generation stepping up now too.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. So what type of player would you consider yourself as like being into a game? Like obviously you kind of said like you're a bit calmer, you're a bit reserved in a way, but is there anything else? Or that's just
I kind of, there's some people before a game that they're either like really energetic or really like somber kind of thing. Like it depends on the day. Like I'm not really that consistent. I think when I was at USC, everybody's quite pumped, so I would be pumped all the time. But here I'm probably a little bit more chill. And yeah, it's quite hard to. I'm extremely competitive, and people, a lot of people laugh at me like after training sometimes because I'll either like be quite quiet and get along with things, and I'll just have conversations with players when there's poor like breaks in play or whatever. But I'm a big stickler on effort. I think that I say this a lot, and I coach under 12s as well, and I tell them this all the time is, do you know what? Football is football, and if you give the ball away, you don't purposely give the ball away. I'm not going to have a go at you for that. Sometimes if you continually do it, then you need to be better, and you need to calm yourself and make, you're almost like, I always say this to myself, like if I've made a few errors, I'll be like, okay, simplify the game, just connect passes first, and then build your confidence back up again. But if I'm on a team, especially like in training, and people lose a ball and they don't react, or if they don't have the mentality of wanting to win and they just don't work hard, like the least you can do, I always think, is 100% effort, least you can do. So I will lose my head if we concede a goal through people not working hard. Do you know what I mean? Like that just gets me, and I'll be quite chill, and then all of a sudden my thing at the minute is to like have like a little tantrum. Like I will stomp or kick the ground, and I'll just yell something really loud, and then I'll bring it back in. But then people always ask me, like, after training, it happened the other day, And the coach is like, Tony would come to me, he's like, have you cooled down yet? And Emil was like, Ash, I've never seen you like that. I'm like, no, I'm fine now. I'll go back to my happy self. But it's just effort. I think that's an American thing. Like the minimum you can do is, you know what, work hard. So I think that's something that's been ingrained in me now. And even since I was a kid, like when I was training, when I was younger, it was always like, you know what, do you put your body on the line? And I write, I didn't say this on my superstition, but I always, if you see on like pictures, I always have like this tape and I write stuff on it. I've had pretty much the same thing on my wrist all season. And it would always just be like motivational things for me, because if I mess up, I'll just look at it and be like, do you know what, get back to it 100%. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, I'm not. I leave it up to Rem to get everybody going.
That was another one of our questions, like who's the one to kind of get everyone going, but you've already answered that. So we can also tell with Remy too, like the way she speaks in press conferences and like the things that players post about her. She just seems like she's a really good leader.
Yeah, she's like, she's pivotal in what we are as a team. Like you can always tell, even when she's not training, because obviously she's had a few injuries with this ankle. And training is even different when she's not in. Not only does she's very verbal, so she'll give a lot of information and get people going all the time, like throughout the whole session. But sometimes, even if she's not talking, just through her work rate, it gets the people around her going. Like I like being on her team a lot in training, because you always know that when she's on your team, it's like she doesn't necessarily have to say anything, but the way that she works automatically brings everybody up. Because I was thinking about this the other day. Like I always play, when she's on my team, I play to want to do well for her, if that makes sense. Because if I see somebody like her putting in the work, then I'm not going to slack off, because I know other people like her are putting in a shift. And the likes of her and Barks in the midfield, sometimes they have to do doggies. Like yesterday, some of these pitches at Beaver Drive are big, and I just see them going back and forth. I'm like, if I don't win this ball here and I'll keep the ball, they're going to be in my ear. So it's things like that are really good for us, actually. Well, I can say that personally. I'm sure a lot of the other players would say the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And even us fans can like really see it. And we always say like there's such a visible community there within the team. Like we can tell like this is a team full of people who do know each other. It's not just we're only teammates. Like we can really see that you guys work so well together. And we always say there's so much depth in the squad. So when we saw injuries last week, we were like, oh no. But then at the same time, we're like, well, we have so many great players. So that's just really awesome to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Our squad depth has been brilliant, and that's probably seen us through this season, really, because it isn't just the starting 11; it's the people that come on and make a difference. And you can see that because subs are scoring goals, subs are stepping into the back line. Like usually, you don't really alter a back line, but we have players that are coming in and out, which just shows the confidence of the coaching staff in us, but also how the players on the bench are able to step up when they're needed most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just great. I see James over there is muted, so I'm not sure if he's going to hop in at all. I don't want to talk over him.
I am. I was just waiting to finish. Obviously, on Sunday, there is quite a big game going on, and you could be crowned champions. I've been saying it for weeks. Hannah refuses to do any kind of prediction, but she did say last weekend that she thinks you will be champions, which I think is a huge thing for us. Mm-hmm. How did that feel for you, and what's it like in the camp going forward to Sunday's game?
Just you saying that has made me like my heart rate go up a little bit. I think it's a little surreal because when you're in it, like I try not to think about it that much until I'm asked about it, because you don't want to just put your sights fully on it because you have so many like training sessions beforehand to prepare for it. But to think it will happen, like I don't even know how. If we play well on Sunday and we win, I cannot even tell you how I'm going to react, because it's. I think for me personally, like I came back to this club for a reason. I'm not somebody who just plays football just to play. I like to be a part of a team and a culture that means more than me. And being at USC, that was the same thing. Like, I've always liked to be on like an underdog kind of team. I've liked to have pressure on me to force me to perform. And the same here at Leicester. Like, when everybody knew we'd turn professional, it was like, well, we have the monkey on the back because everybody's going to want to beat us. And we've gone through this whole year feeling that. Every game we felt that. And I think that pressure is good. It's pushed us on in more ways than not. And to think now, like, we had, I think, obviously you never want to lose, but the last time we played London City, obviously it was a poor game for us. But I wouldn't have changed it, because that was the kick up the bum that we kind of needed at the time. And it really was like a mentality shift for all of us. And to think how well we've done since then is just, I'm really proud of everybody. It has been a tough season, I'll be honest. It's not easy when you do have all the pressure on you, but now to think that we are almost at like the end goal. And like, when I joined in January, not last year, but the year before, the year before, I don't even know what year we're in anymore. It just, but yeah. Oh no, it was last year. So that was my aim. Like, I spoke with Jonathan, I'm like, I want to come in here to win. Like I said, I don't play to play. I like to work towards something, and that's exactly what we're doing here. And to think that it could finally like happen is exciting. But I don't really know. I'm not like super like, oh my gosh, it's gonna happen. But I'm also not like really nervous. It's just, okay, it's another game, we've got to win, and then afterwards we'll just see how I react. I could either be like how I am now, or I could be crying, or I could be, who knows? I
don't even know how I'm gonna react. I've said before, like, I'll probably be crying for weeks or months, and then like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it doesn't feel real. Like, I can't even process it. Like, it doesn't. So I'm just gonna buy champagne for now and see where it goes from there.
Oh, I wish you guys could be here. It's not really going to be the same without having, people to celebrate with. But yeah. Oh, at least, do you know what? At least we'll be hopefully, fingers crossed, popping champagne at the same time.
With time zones, it might not be appropriate for me, but that's super exciting, and I'm really excited for you guys, because like, it's just such a phenomenal team. So I congratulate you guys. If like, we're jumping the gun already, but it's obviously happening. But it's just been so great watching you guys, and it's been so wonderful being a fan and being able to support you guys throughout this entire season. Like, it's awesome.
Oh, thanks. It's good having you guys. We feel you, even though you're kind of far away and it's all virtual, but we really do.
Yeah, how has that been without? Obviously, there's been no fans in the stands. How have you felt the support this year? Because obviously, it's been difficult for you guys as well as us. How have you felt that support? Is it through social media and outlets like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, honestly, I discovered you, Hannah, quite early on, because I think I follow the Leicester City Women's Supporters page because Joe. So Joe, it's funny because Joe took his grandma in to get her hair done at the same salon that my stepmom works at. So that's, yeah. So I got talking to him, and then I saw he was like making these flags and stuff. And then obviously, because I followed them, then they'll retweet things that you guys post. And then I'm like, oh, okay, we've got more fans, and I'll just follow. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely feel like I don't really tweet much, but I'll be on Twitter and everything, because I do follow you guys. It's more just like seeing the support of you guys and the other fans, which actually it feels really good, especially because we don't have fans at the games. But to think that after games or leading up to big games, we can just almost like check our phones and we feel the love virtually, which is a big help. It really is.
I always wondered if you guys had like much of a social media presence because you all have Twitter, but then you don't post things. But then I remember after one game, you like liked a bunch of my stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, she like sees it."
Yeah, no, I definitely do. Because I think it was when you were like posting GIFs or stuff, and the GIFs were great. Like I don't even know how to make them, but I saw like all my family were sending me the one time I scored, and I think you made it into like a little, and all my family were sending me the GIF, and I think that's kind of when it really set in that I was like, oh my gosh, we've got actual fans.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I gotta GIF it. So every time it's the game's on the FA player, I post that GIF because that's how we all feel. That's awesome. And I think the funniest was when like apparently like the management team had a meeting about us, and it made sense because all of the staff followed me at once. And I was like, what is going on? And then Heskey followed me, and then he just started liking my stuff. And I was like, like it's like 4 in the morning. I was like, is Heskey just like lurking me right now? Like what's happening? It's awesome that you guys are so engaged with us. Like we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, it goes both ways for sure.
That's awesome to hear because I know it's probably so hard not having any fans there. Like obviously I wouldn't know because I'm not in that position, but it must make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only thing we can hear, like I said, when I'm playing in Midfield at the weekend, all I heard was Remy. Usually I'd probably hear some fans, but it was good because I couldn't hear Rem telling me, be here, don't be here, to like make the pass quicker. I even it was funny with Rem because I joke with her because I even know what she's going to say to me before she says it. Because there's certain things now in my game, like at centre back, she'll tell me, what she's like, head in your channels or play quicker or something like that. And I'm like, sometimes she looks at me, I'm like, I put my thumb up because I'm like, I know what you're going to say before you even say it. But things like that, I guess it's sad because we don't have fans, but we can hear more tactical stuff, like especially from the coaching staff. We can hear Jonathan and Michael more. So I guess in a way, well, for people who like to hear that kind of stuff, because some people like to just block it out and play their game, but I quite like hearing it. I had the same thing when I was at USC. We had like my head coach Kanani was quite chill and he didn't say a lot, but then Jason was just loud. Like he was the assistant coach, so I would just hear him all the time. And at first I was like, oh, just let me play. But then it became because he was. Like some American coaches are quite like forceful with the way that they give knowledge and information. And I would just always like, do you know what? You can hear noise, but what are they actually saying within that? And I learned that in America, and I've kind of brought that to here because people have to communicate. It's a big thing in football actually, because people have to communicate a certain way when they're on the pitch because there's urgency behind it. And a lot of girls always hear the tone rather than the information, but I've kind of learned to just take the information rather than hearing how it's said to me.
Mm-hmm. Even as fans can like hear that stuff on the FA player too. When we're watching games, we can hear like what's being said. Sometimes we're like, oh, that makes it more interesting for us as well. So it's good that it's going both ways.
I bet you hear a lot of profanity as well, which isn't always good. But
oh, that makes it better. I love that.
Do you know what? It was funny when I first joined. Like I forgot how I guess potty mouthed we are as British people. Like in America, when I was at USC, if anybody swore, we had to run or do push-ups. Like we weren't allowed to swear because our coaches thought we have a lot of kids come to our games, and he never wanted any of the players to swear. And then I came back here, and my first session, everybody was like, swearing, and it would always shock me. Like I'd always be like, oh, because usually it's somebody swears. When I was at USC, my coach would just be like, push, and everyone had to get down and do push-ups. But I'm here, and every other word is a bad word. So I guess I kind of got accustomed to it.
That's awesome. I personally love it. I think it's so fun. We get that little side of things. It's great. So kind of like thinking about women's football in general, because like you guys have the chance to go up to the WSL, and the WSL now have this huge deal with BBC and Sky. So the game is growing like crazy this year. And as a player, how does that make you feel? And like, what does it mean for Leicester as well as the club?
Yeah, it is huge. I wasn't expecting it to be honest with you, but I think obviously for us, if fingers crossed, like I said, nothing's happened yet, but if we get promoted, it's a huge thing for us as a club, because obviously we've turned professional, we're at Beaver Drive, we have the support of the men's side, and now if we are televised more, then hopefully, obviously you guys are the founders of all these fan pages, so we won't ever forget that, but we're hoping that more people will jump on board in terms of the fan base. And I also think, like nobody, especially in the women's game, like people want anybody that's just come up, they want them to do well. Like we hope that people are going to be behind us, because nobody wants to go up and then go straight back down, because the next thing is, if we get into the WSL, it's like, how do we establish ourselves there? How do we make sure we're not like fighting for points at the bottom of the table? We want to compete with the best teams, and obviously we can't get too ahead of ourselves. We need to know where we are at the minute, but there's and everything takes time, but there's no reason why in a few years' time, with the amount of investment in our club, the investment in the women's team specifically, and then just women's sport and football in general, there's no reason why we can't be pushing for, top 4 in the next, well, I don't want to put a time frame on it, but that's our aspiration.
And I think it's good to have that kind of model to aim for. Just like the men's team did when they came up to the Premier League, try to establish yourself first and then keep pushing. And I think you're right, top 4 is probably achievable. Obviously, we'll probably need some investment here and there, but I think it's very much achievable. And with the group we've got at the minute, as we've said earlier, you're that band of sisters that plays so well together. And you're always there for each other, and people come in, people go out. And it just seems to work so well at Leicester. Me and Hannah discussed earlier in the season about Liverpool. Liverpool were favourites to win your league because they were Liverpool, no other reason. And they've had that same pressure you've had, probably not the same atmosphere or kind of sisterhood that you've got, and that's why you're where you are today. And I think it just proves how well this club's handling things on both the women's and the men's side.
Yeah, definitely. I think, do you know what? I think a lot of people could probably say when we saw that Liverpool got relegated, we were like, okay, maybe this is the team to beat. And do you know what? Not enough respect is given to a team like Durham. Like I said this in that Talk Sport interview, because I really, like I said, I'm a big stickler for effort and work rate, and that is a team that just works hard. They may lack at times some technical quality, but if you can push through, you can see teams pushing through games through just how much they are willing to work for it. So they've been, we felt a lot of pressure on the backs playing the likes of Durham, because we knew how hard both games were going to be. But I think we really did go into every game this season just with the same mentality. I think it honestly comes down to the pressure that we have anyway, being a professional side, expectation we have on us, because we know if we lose to, a bottom of the table side, then that not only hurts us and knocks our confidence for the teams that are probably higher up in the league, but then we're like, well, in your head, you're like, well, if we've lost to them, then we can literally lose to anybody. And I guess that's the good thing about women's football, is on any day, any team can beat anybody. So it's literally, I feel like, especially this league, it's all about consistency. And since our little hiccup, I think I would say we've been pretty consistent since then.
Yeah, and you mentioned Liverpool, and you've got Liverpool in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So how are you guys feeling with that? Is that something that you guys are looking at, like, yeah, we can win this?
Yeah, I know. We thought we were over with them, but they're back again. Yeah, I think, both games against Liverpool have been really fun. I don't think either of us as a team, we respect one another, but we don't necessarily love playing one another, because it's always like a very intense game. And players on both, I think there's actually a few players on both teams that know each other as well. So it's like, oh, okay, I want to beat you, more on like a personal level too. But it would be nice to have them at home again. That makes a huge difference. And it was almost like a surprise, actually, because we were actually going out to training. Everybody was in the boot room with the boots on, and everyone was like, do you guys know we're playing Liverpool? And we're like, what? what? Because in our head, we're just like counting down games for the league. We're like, okay, 5 to go, 4 to go. And now it's like, okay, now we have like 4 to go again because now we've got Liverpool. But yeah, that would be a really good game. It's weird because it's kind of like a repeat of last year because the lockdown happened before we were meant to play Man City. And then it was like, okay, we have this team to play Man City in the FA Cup this year, but then it could change for next year and we have other people coming in. It's going to be like the same case here with Liverpool. We're playing them in one season and then hope like if we win or whatever, we're hopefully like next season, we don't even know what's going to happen. Our team could potentially look different and maybe Liverpool's would. It's a weird time. It's a really weird time, but yeah, it's exciting to play them again, especially a team that as well, we've beaten them twice, so they're definitely going to want to have some kind of revenge.
Don't give it to them.
Don't worry.
That's so cool though that you guys kind of have like that team that you're like, ooh, we're facing this side, because I know like with us fans, that's us with Durham. Like we see Durham, we're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry, James.
All right. So I think to finish the interview off, we decided on a kind of few questions that were kind of a quick fire round. Probably no time to think.
Don't say Coldplay, Ashleigh.
So I'll start them off. Cats or dogs?
Dogs, even though I've got a cat.
Good answer. That's the right answer.
Books
or movies?
Sorry, I missed that.
Books or movies?
Ooh. Sorry, something quick. Probably books.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good
warm
answer.
or cold holidays?
Sorry, say that again.
Warm or cold holidays?
Oh, warm.
I can't do warm. So the last one is, would you rather score 100 worldies in a season, or would you rather score a last-minute goal in a big final?
Oh, last-minute goal.
Okay.
Yeah, oh my gosh. If that was the case like on Sunday, I'd probably just burst into tears.
Maybe you put it out into the universe now. So
that's why it won't happen. I'm kidding.
Or it will happen. I'll have the gift ready.
I'm expecting an 89th minute bullet header, top corner.
Oh, God. I'll leave that to Sam. Howard.
Scissor kick with the long legs. So I have one question. So I heard that in Leicester there is a Tim Hortons. Are you familiar with this?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well that answers the question. It's a coffee chain.
Oh gosh, okay.
It's like staple of Canada, super Canadian. So I was gonna see, like, when I learned that they have them in the UK. James, have you heard this?
Yes, I have heard. I've never had one, but I have heard they are in the UK now.
Yeah,
obviously with friends like you and the other Canadians, I've now realised that it is a nice coffee place, so I'll have to try it out when it opens.
It's nice, yeah, depending on what you get, but it's nice. So
where
I was
is it opening?
that.
You know?
What's that?
You know where it's opening? Where in Leicester it is?
I mean, I wouldn't know. James might know better than I would. I know
we'll
it's open already. But I was like, I gotta ask her if she's been there, and if so, what's her order? But,
you know, I'm gonna have to go now. Maybe today. Is it open? Like, is the one in Leicester open? You know,
I think it is. It's like a fast food type chain. Like there's drive-thrus.
I've never heard of it.
It's open. It's on Eastgates, apparently.
Do you know what? I will try if possible. If I have time today, I will go today, and I will let you know if I get.
You got to get an iced cappuccino if you do. Do you like coffee?
Yes, I forced myself to like it when I was in America, and now I actually do like it.
Okay, I don't like it, but the iced cap is like a staple, so you have to try it, and that's the only thing I'll get.
Okay, I'll go for that.
Get some Timbits too. I mean, your menu could be completely different. I could just be throwing around like gibberish to you right now.
I actually prefer iced coffee because I would have that in America because it was so hot. It's not as warm today, but you know what? I'll go for it.
Iced coffee is way better. than hot coffee.
Yeah, no, I agree. But if you say that in England, people are like, coffee iced, like it's just not a thing, really.
Oh. I don't know how well it'll fit in.
I was just about to say that. If you say iced coffee in Leicester or even England, people will just look at you weird, like you're some kind of weirdo that doesn't belong here.
Yeah, well, here it could be like minus 30 degrees and people still be out with their iced coffees.
Oh gosh.
I love our iced coffees. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was super duper fun. James, do you have any closing words that you want to share?
No, the only other question I was going to ask is Netflix, what's your guilty pleasure?
Oh.
Can't say Drag Race.
Do you know what? People always laugh at me when I say this, but I'm really not good with like TV shows. Like I don't really get into anything. The only things that I really love that when they were on, Game of Thrones, Peaky Blinders, and if I have a day off and I never know what to watch, I always watch Gogglebox, which Hannah, I don't know if you're familiar with Gogglebox because it's probably more of an English thing, but it sounds boring because it's literally watching people watching TV, but it's just hilarious. It's so like the people on it are just so typically British as well. Like you'll have to watch. It's really funny.
I'll have to look for it then. I'm like you. I don't watch anything. If you ask me like about any movie, 100% chance I have not watched it.
That's
so
like me.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I know about Disney movies because I have younger siblings, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a show that I've just watched and I loved it. It was called Your Honor. It's an American series, and it was brilliant. Like almost like brilliantly awful because the actual storyline is so sad. But Your Honor, you should definitely watch that. It's great.
I'll keep it in mind. I'll have to start making a list now of all the things.
If you watch Gogglebox, I will get a nice cappuccino today.
I'll do that. I promise you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. I loved it. I would continue to talk to you forever, but I would.
No, that's Hannah. I think it's been absolutely brilliant having you on. It has taken us a while, but it's been worth the wait. So thanks again. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, sorry it's taken so long. Now I have to go through other people because if it was me, I'd just be like, yeah, I did it today. Yeah. But...
Yeah, well, thanks so much. And congratulations on such a great season so far. And good luck on Sunday. Hopefully you get that last minute winner there. And we're really looking forward to watching it. And the FA Player will be showing the game live for free, as well as BBC Radio Leicester will be doing live commentary as well. So you can look forward to that on Sunday. Thank you so much again for coming on. It was so fun talking to you. And we look forward to chatting with you in the future, hopefully. Yes, thank you both so much. And I hope you get back to sleep okay. Thank you.